Oh, without your boat? You don't want to lose it, Georgie. Bill's gonna kill you. Here, take it. There's going to be no clowning around in this video, as we're going to be having a look at the new released NECA Toys. It's 2017 Pennywise. Before we get closer looks at this creepy clown, let's figure out how tall Pennywise the Clown stands. The answer to that is 7.5 inches in height. Accessories. Why don't we first start with the beginning of the movie? That's the best place to go. The SS Georgie, the little paper boat, unfortunately, that would lead its way down the creek and leading Georgie to the hands of Pennywise the Clown. A really surprisingly scary opener for a fantastic movie that played out. The SS Georgie here in the movie was made with paper. Here we have it, of course, in plastic, because plastic holds up a little bit better, and you've got the SS Georgie written on the side. While it isn't hollow, yes, like the movie counterpart, it is instead a solid piece of plastic, but does mimic the paper boat rather well. Now you can go ahead and take Pennywise's hand. This is the default hand that is currently on the figure when you get him out of packaging. And it is ideally suited for holding the boat in hand. Simply just take the thumb and the pointer finger, more so the thumb, and the thumb area wedges its way inside the little crevice, the little flap on the side here, and it holds the boat perfectly fine. Georgie. It looks really cool. I probably will likely display him with the boat and with the balloon. Sounds like a segue. It is a segue. There's the SS Georgie. He does also come with the balloon. I'm just going to put Pennywise here just for 1 second. The balloon, the top portion of the balloon, which I almost dropped, is plastic. The bottom, however, is wire, which is the smartest route that they could have gone. Sadly, though, the end knot of the balloon is not attached to the wire. Instead, the wire runs its way behind it. So it will be in a case where you want to display it so that you don't accidentally see the fact that it is not tied to the balloon. I guess if they had painted, let's say, the knot, they had painted that white, I think it could have also mimicked the sense that the rope is tied around the knot. But instead it does look a little awkward when you have it this way. You want to sort of have it facing this way. A rather interesting thing that NECA did for him displaying it, because it would be extremely difficult for a figure's hands to be able to clasp onto this wire. They gave you a hand, literally and figuratively, they gave you a hand that actually has a hole running through it. It's really clever because from looking at it this way, you don't even see it. But what you have to do is you have to take the wire of the balloon and simply just feed it through this hole. Now, when you first try doing this, or at least when I first tried doing this, I frayed the edge here where you could see the wire. You can see the wire on the inside there, but feed it through that little hole. It is something that takes a little time when you first do it, and you just feed the wire straight through, just straight through the hand. Now again, looking at it, it does look like he's literally holding the balloon. Now you just want to, of course, twist that balloon just a little bit so that you don't see that the wire isn't attached. And it's a really effective tool, a really effective way of sculpting that. Go ahead and take the other hand off. I just so happen to use the flat pair of hands. That's the other defaulted, well, they're not defaulted, that's the other hands that he comes included with. These hands would be ideal, for example, if you want the dancing Pennywise, for example, and those would just, of course, swap out. But we're going to go ahead and pop this flat-palmed hand out. Just pop that off the peg, and just wiggle the new hand in place. It may prove to be a little easier for you, of course, to put the hand in first and then feed the balloon through. But there you have Pennywise with the balloon in hand, literally in hand. And it looks really good. I like that. Smart, effective, well done, NECA. After all that, we're going to take the balloon out and we'll put that to the side. So we covered hands. We covered the balloon. We covered Georgie's boats. We're going to put those to the side. And before we look at his alternate heads, we're going to look at the figure, then we're going to look at the heads, then we're going to add the heads, then we're going to have some fun, then we're going to stop for a glass of fruit punch, then we're going to wrap up this review. Let's go. The face itself, now he has 3, like I said, different faces. Okay, you know what, we'll go through those together. This head, I actually think I like a little bit more than the smiling face. It's more of a serious looking Pennywise. And then you've got the very garishly in your nightmares tonight sort of head sculpt. Both head sculpts, though, are very similar to one another. A really nice new way to design Pennywise above and beyond simply just making him into the clown. They've kind of given this sort of, I don't want to dare tread into the realm of knowing this 100%, but kind of a slightly Victorian 20s sort of outfit. That not be 100% true, but I do really like this sort of puffy, poofy sort of design that they've got for his particular outfit. As for, like I said, his face, the 2 head sculpts here, this one and this one right here, are almost mirror copies to one another. The wrinkling and the flaking of the paint might be slightly different on the top there, which is something I also really liked about the movie, how the top 6 head, a little bit bigger than a 4 and a 5, it had the kind of like chipped away paint, the little makeup paint that he would have had, and then the smile would have ran its way through the eyeballs. Now here, you can see his eyes are slightly angled upward. Ideally, if you angled the head down, you could have this awesome look in which he's looking straight up at you, despite for the fact that his head is pointed down. This one here obviously has the eyes pointing straight forward and a slightly devilish looking smile on his face. His hair is painted in orange, and they've gone in and slightly added lighter shades right on the tipped areas of the hair. The hair's got a really nice head sculpt or hair sculpt to it. To change out either one of the heads, or really that creepy head we'll look at in a second, just grab the torso, wiggle the head off the socket. You'll see that as you're doing it, the collar piece is separate. So we'll go ahead and just pop that off. Once again, credit to the fact that they are using these sort of pegs now versus the very big bulbous ball joints. Always had problems changing heads when it came to those, but we just go ahead and just wiggle the new head in place. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Pop, pop, pop. Fizz, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. That's Alka-Seltzer. Go ahead and just, needless to say, commercials aside, we'll just pop that in place. Moments later with the new head sculpt in place, this is probably going to be the one that I'm going to default to when displaying him. I like the idea that I can angle the head really low down and you can still see that he's looking straight. He's looking straight at us. A very scary way to present him, and especially displaying him with the balloon. I think that's going to be my preferred choice. Don't worry. Here is also the very demonic head sculpt that is also included with the figure. Now, as a contrast, I'll hold that head sculpt. I'll bring in the one that I just changed out. Here again are the 3 different face options. Let me know down below which one you would prefer to display your Pennywise with. Now, while I do like this head sculpt, this one right here, I wish that NECA had also gone and given us a 4th head sculpt, giving us an even more extreme version of this head sculpt here. I'm going to go ahead and put this figure down just for a split second. Don't worry, we'll go back to it. Here again is this very scary looking face, but you know the one I'm talking about. You know the one I'm talking about. The one in which the serrated teeth basically go from ear to ear. Love to see them have also included that. Maybe this could be as a serving point for a follow-up figure in which we would get the extreme Pennywise face. That would be very, very cool. I do like this head sculpt though quite a bit, even though I may not likely display the figure, or they get you again. You probably could pick up a second figure, which I'm almost entertaining the idea of doing so. That way I could display Pennywise with also this head sculpt too, because it's almost too good to pass up on. What's interesting about this head sculpt, though, is if you look on the interior, not only are you greeted to, hey, how are you? The socket joint in which that pegs into the ball joint, but there's also this little extra piece of plastic on the interior, leading me to believe that the mouthpiece is a separate component. It's not to the sense that you're going to remove it, nor can it extend out. But I'm wondering why that is a separate piece altogether, and they simply just didn't cast this all in one mold and then just simply paint the teeth. It's interesting that it looks to be a separate piece that involved some assembly. Love the head sculpt. Probably, unless I pick up a second head sculpt, is not going to be my preferred choice. I'm still probably going to go with this head sculpt here. So there's your head sculpts. There's the balloon, Georgie's boats, and of course the interchangeable hands. Let's spend some time, a considerable amount of time I would hope, on the rest of this figure. A glorious specimen looking exactly like the way it did in the movie itself. Very much the muted color contrast to what we got with the made-for-TV movie, in which, of course, that Pennywise was brightly colored. Played by iconic actor Tim Curry, who, of course, would have done also movies such as the Rocky Horror Picture Show, or the one that I always think of as well, Legend, which is as iconic of a character for him as Pennywise the Clown. So we are getting ourselves a Pennywise from the made-for-TV movie miniseries. That's going to be coming out later into this year. And of course, we've got ourselves now the 2017 release first and foremost. It would have been interesting had they flipped it, in which the made-for-TV series, the miniseries, would have come out first, and then we would have gotten the remake. But of course, hot off the presses, the movie is still sizzling and buzzing. Logically, it would make sense that they would have released this guy first. So I've corrected myself with logical reasoning why. As for the outfit here, again, it kind of looks like it's more of a Victorian sort of design for Pennywise. You've got the poofy shoulder cuffs, the shoulder sleeves here, as well as the big poofy collar, which, like I said, is a separate piece from the rest of the figure. It's interesting that when you lift that collar up, how long Pennywise's actual neck is. I wish that they had glued this in place, to be all honest, just because I don't necessarily need something that moves around on me. I appreciate for the fact that it is separate, but in all honesty, that could have just easily stayed in place. I guess they did it so that it sat a little higher. Gluing it obviously would keep it a little bit more closer to the torso, and might have also exaggerated how long the neck ended up looking. So I guess logically it makes sense that they would look at me correcting myself over the course of this review. So yes, the collar is loose. The colors are very much a muted gray, really from head to toe. All you're getting is gray. Now, before you correct me, of course, there are some additional colors in there. The collar itself is a little bit more of a cream color, and then you've got these accented areas here of the red. You may not see it, and hopefully the camera will show you, that the actual trim that they put around the belt, around the sleeves, and even around the shoulders are not a solid color. They've gone in and added additional white to it. Just gives it some much added detail. Texturing here is very misleading because looking at it, it feels like this should be softer plastic, and actually quite the contrast to that, quite the opposite. It's instead a dense plastic. It does look exceptionally good, and it looks exactly like it did from the movie itself, right down to the colored lower cuffs of the pants and down to his boots. Now, even though he does have semblance to being a clown, it's really done exceptionally well. Like, I have to commend the design team behind the movie itself. First and foremost, again, you've got a movie here that defied all expectations. People were really thinking that the new It was going to bomb because, quite frankly, it was a remake, and yet it exceeded everybody's expectations to the point now we're, of course, getting ourselves the sequel. I can imagine that Pennywise is going to stay likely the same as this until, of course, he reveals his final form, kind of like what they did with the miniseries. And again, I'm just really digging the design here of him. NECA always delivers accurate translations from the movie, and this is actually one of my new all-time favorites. Let's go through his posability because there's really a lot to touch base on. His head rotates all the way around. Of course, that hinges up and down, but I really like the fact that I'm lifting that collar up. You know that collar that I wanted glued down? Well, the collar lifting up shows you that there is a secondary ball joint sitting in the socket area of the torso. So not only do you have a ball joint up here, but you also have a ball joint happening here where you can get that lower tilt of that head. Oh, so much that I love doing. I'm going to have him displayed like that, angled head down, slightly tipped up. Yeah, loving that. The torso is not only is it softer rubber, let me just flip it around and show you. Here is all a softer material. I guess instead of casting in this solid in plastic, it was a lot easier to just basically make a frame and then add this over top of it. As a result of it, though, you've got a lower torso ball joint. This is also a soft skirt, and if I just lift this up, you can see that how the ball joints work inside. Now, it's a hinge ball joint, so you've got the ball joint attaching to the lower waist area, but then this also has the hinge. So in other words, the legs move forward, back, and out. The skirt is just enough that it stays out of the way that you can move the legs forward and back. You're really not going to go to the extreme unless, of course, you want to do like the dancing Pennywise, which might end up be a fun way to display the figure as well. It does have the double hinge on the knees. Those knees also do have their own independent swivels as a result of it. This is separate. You can rotate this on its own. The foot hinges up and down. You got an ankle rocker as well, and they can rotate all the way around. Of course, peg holes on the undersides of his feet, even though he doesn't have a display stand. And even though I almost missed it, as for the shoulders, ball joint happening there. This part here swivels right underneath the cuff of the shoulder. Then you've got a double hinge, a hinge here, and a hinge here. Double hinge on the hand, the arm, and the hands also rotate back and forth. This is also a separate piece, though it doesn't move as freely as the lower leg cuff. And ladies and gentlemen, there is the 2017 It movie Pennywise, which of course is released here worldwide in 2018. A year later, but still just as good and a faithful recreation of Pennywise from the 2017 film. Unlike the 2017 film that surprised moviegoers by giving a terrifying new take on Pennywise the Clown, to no surprise, NECA has given us a perfect rendition here of Pennywise in plastic form. This figure is astonishing in all the things that he does and all the things that he comes with. I like the interchangeable different head options that he has, and of course the way that they've managed to get the balloon in his hand. Fine work, NECA, fine work. Of course, to also no surprise, the Pennywise Clown is now available in stores, which you probably already know that, as you guys have been asking to see a review of this guy on this channel for the longest time, and I do apologize for taking so long as I did to get him finally up and out. Today, though, we were having a look at the new NECA Toys. This was the It 2017 release of Pennywise the Clown, which, again, like I said, is currently available in stores worldwide. There's probably some places in the world that he may not be available, but I'm sure you guys would be able to find them nonetheless. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so. We're, of course, going to have some more NECA reviews coming your way, so stay tuned for that. Make sure as well that you go to my main page, the main channel, after you've finished watching this review, and just kind of scroll down. Just linger there for a bit. See if there's any videos that you may have missed along the way. It's very well possible because this guy here is very guilty for posting videos on a regular basis, sometimes multiples in days, so that if you guys haven't seen everything, you should be able to see it on the main page. Like I said, guys, more videos, guys, will be coming your way, so always keep your eyes peeled. I always say I don't like saying that, but I always end up finding myself saying it. Keep your eyes peeled, because new videos will be coming on this channel on a regular basis. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.